Hello, it's George Jettison of Dallas, Texas. On this video, I'm gonna go through what spirits are. We have good spirits, and I'm gonna explain what's different between fermented alcohol and distilled alcohol, and then history of distilled alcohol. So, most people. A lot of people do not know the difference between fermented alcohol and distilled alcohol. Fermented alcohol is like this. It's a good example. Distilled alcohol are like these. And easy to know is usually fermented alcohol is not strong alcohol. Like some of them are maybe wine is like 15%. Distilled alcohol can go like up, right? So that is like one really big difference. So let's quickly explain what fermented alcohol is. Fermented alcohol is it's something that works within nature. Very simple. So wherever there's sugar, there's this microorganism. I've been living in United States like 15 years. I can still not say microorganisms. There's a yeast, which is a microorganism. Yeast likes sugar. So yeast eats sugar and then poops out, or creates alcohol and few other things. So that's how it works. So if you have a sugary liquid, sugary water, the yeast goes in, yeast consumes the sugar, and then it turns the liquid from sugary water into alcoholic beverage that we all enjoy. So basically that's it. So you can have any type of sugary water, and then with the yeast reacting it turns into alcohol. The major ones are, of course, wine, which is made from grape juice. So if you smash a grape, you get grape juice. Grape juice are usually sweet. So yeast goes in and then does its thing. Human basically just wait till that happens and finishes. And it kind of support by not much doing anything, and you get wine. So very simple process. Harvest, smash, sugary water turns into alcohol. So it's been around for like forever. Next is beer. Beer is made from mostly barley or wheat. Basically it's made from grains. And imagine you go harvest barley and then eat it. It doesn't taste good because it's like too hard and lots of starch. It's pretty much all starch. So you need to do something to turn the starch into sugar. One good thing about these grains are, once you harvest, you keep it dry, it lasts. You don't have to consume it. Grapes kind of go bad. So that's one pretty big thing. Anyways, going back, so you gotta use this thing called malting, malted barley. Malting is basically this. You make it, this is a man sprout. I've been growing for about a year. It's not a man bun, but it's like a sprout, man sprout. You make it sprout using warm water basically. And then once the barley sprout, then it creates sugar, becomes sugary water. You can make beer. Beer, you add hops as a bitterness, as an herb. And then last one is sake. Sake and beer, similar idea. Rice does not have sugar on its own, so you gotta turn it into sugar first. In this case, they use another microorganism called koji. Koji is like a mold-ish that you cook a rice, you put the koji on it, and then koji turns the starchy rice into sugary rice, and then yeast goes in and then make the sugary rice water into alcohol. That's sake. So similarity, but there are differences. Yeah. But as you see here, the ABV, alcohol by volume, wine is usually 15 to 16%. Really strong one, maybe about 16. It's like average what you see for like a very alcoholic wine. Beer, it's usually 5%. Some stronger ones are 10 or 10 plus. If it's more, they call it barley wine, right? But those are not as common. And sake can be relatively high alcohol. It goes up to all the way up to like 18-19%. They usually, after finish, they add water a little bit to lower it, so it's like you don't get drunk, because Asian people gets drunk faster, typically. Like me, I'm half Asian. So benefits of this: it's easy to make. You let the nature take care of itself. But the drawback is there's a limit of how much alcohol it can produce. The reason it can only go up to that certain level is because with the fermenting process, the yeast that's doing the good stuff, it dies from the heat and the alcohol that they created on its own. So there's like, they work on it until a point they cannot go more than that. That's why there's a limit. All right, so to break the limit, human created this thing called distillation. Basically, it's a method using the boiling temperature. So the rest of the world, besides United States of America, uses this great measurement system called Celsius. In Celsius, below 0 is freezing, and then 100 is boil. 101 is beyond, above boiling temperature for water. Everywhere except United States, they use this. It's the world standard. So water boils at 100 degrees. Ethanol, which relates to alcohol, ethanol reached the boiling point at 78 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty easy to guess that, hey, if you keep the temperature right here in between, then the ethanol will boil or it'll kind of evaporate, but water won't, right? Because water is at 100. This one boils sooner than water. So if you first have a booze ready, a fermented alcohol, it can be anything that has some sort of alcohol in it, and then you put in this tank. This is called an alembic still. It's a very traditional still. But this is created like thousands of years ago. We'll talk about it later. But still today, it relatively looks like this. So we're using methods that goes back thousands of years. It's called alembic still. Alembic means it's the pointy thing right here looks like a beak of a bird, and that's called alembic in Greek language. That's why it's called alembic still. So you have a tank, and then you put your fermented alcohol in here, and then you get some sort of heat. You heat it up, but right, like you try to kind of keep it at this temperature, right in between. So ethanol will kind of steam up, but water won't. Water will it'll kind of go, but steam up, and then I use a coil because that's what most stills are. But you can just put like ice or something. Keep it cold here, so whatever the steam gets chilled down, so there's going to be condensation, like no, not really, but it'll be condensated, so it goes back to liquid, and you have a higher, more concentrated liquid with a higher alcohol content. So it really depends on the actual technology, actual method and whatnot. But you can kind of create 30 to 40% alcohol just by doing this. And then, say you want to go further. So you just, the result of this liquid, you put it back in and do the same process again. So it's like you concentrate it, and then you take that, and then you maybe make more concentrated, more concentrated, more concentrated. You can keep on doing this forever until it'll reach up to 96% alcohol by volume. So it's basically Everclear, or the brand I like to use, Mohawk. But so this is 96% ethanol, 4% something, water, alcohol that you can create. If you take this and then you water it down to 40%, you get teals. You water it down to 20 to 15%, you get Korean soju. Add like whatever extract. Anyways, this is how you make it. It looks pretty easy, right? Like, oh, I can just like go buy some cheap wine or cheap beer. This is not cheap beer. And then just put it in like a water pot, and then let's like warm it up kind of nicely, you know, and then just condensation. Okay, yeah, I can make my own brandy at home. Yes, you can. Except, don't try this at home, because today I'm not going to talk about the details, but if you don't have a knowledge to do it, like I don't have a detailed knowledge either, but I know enough that if you don't have a actual knowledge to do this, it'll kill you. It's because in this process you're extracting the ethanol, but you are also extracting another chemical called methanol. Starts with the M. Methanol is poisonous to human. That's why like stories of the prohibition, the bootleggers, the moonshiners, like creates illegal. They make illegal alcohol, and you buy them because it's cheap, and then you drink it and you go blind. It's because whoever made it didn't know how to make it, and then a lot of methanol went into the liquid, and it was poison. So that's why you'll see, if you go online, you'll see fermenting kits, like make wine at home, make beer at home, make sake at home. Not really available, but beer and wine you can make it at home. Homebrew kits, home distillation kit are not really a thing, because you need to have actual knowledge to handle. You need to know how to operate it. Details I won't talk about it today. Right. So because I have this much to cover. History, how this came in being. Looks like it's pretty simple process. It is very simple process. All you need is like a whatever tank, and then like a passage, and then catches it. Right? Simple. So it's been around since ancient times. Ancient time, I mean like Mesopotamia, like Greek, Egypt, ancient like China, ancient India, all those like where like basically where civilization kind of came, like prehistory. On all those places, they had this technology, and it was mainly practiced through alchemy. Alchemy is such a cool word. Alchemy is basically a study, education, study, field of study to, in the ancient days, it was a way to get immortal. They wanted to be immortal. So, good example is Qin Dynasty, the first Chinese emperor. Has conquered all China. When was that? 5 or 6 BC. I think. That's the one that built the Great Wall, which it's still there. He basically ruled the known world back then. Whatever we can see, he conquered. So he got all the power, all the money, all the land, all the women, all the everything. He got everything. Now, what does he want? He got everything. What do you want now? Immortal. He doesn't want to die. He doesn't even want to pass it on. Nothing. He just want to keep everything and live forever. So he sent all the smart people. Okay, go find ways to make me immortal. Go, and then they'll have to go visit. There's a lot of myth and like legend and stories behind that, and then there are a lot in other civilizations. It's pretty much the same. It works the same way. Like, I got everything now. I want to be immortal, and then try to find things. So this was one of the process. Among all, like the famous story is relates. There's a similar story in China and India that you find liquid silver, and then you drink liquid silver. Liquid silver, it doesn't rust, it doesn't go old. It's still liquid. It's like lively. It melts with basically it's a metal that melts on human temperature, so it becomes liquid. It's highly poisonous. If you drink, you die. But if you drink a little bit, you become like immortal. So like it was like kind of that kind of stuff. Like, people really try to not die. You know, that's what happens. You have everything. Still today, I think the same idea. So that was it. So like this was created. They knew how to do this way back in the days. And then move forward to the medieval times, like 9th century, 800, 900s, 1000s, 9 to 10, 11th century. In Europe, it's also called the Dark Ages, where there were no culture, no civilization. They were stuck in their village, and there was no technology advance or nothing. Compared to the Roman time, which was so much technology, so much advanced than this time. There was a really big event where Europe, the Christian world, met the Islamic world, the Muslim world. It's the Crusade, of course. It happened in 1096, right? So that's almost going into the 11th century. So there was a big event where European people who, through Christians basically, you don't want your people to be smart, because if they get smart, they will come up with new ideas. Like, hey, how come Christ walked on water? Huh? Christ made everybody full and fed wine with one glass, whatever. Like all the stories, like it's like people still believe heavily today. If you try to go more on the science, alchemy side, you can't scientifically prove that. So leaders didn't want people to start thinking or start doubting what they were telling them. So it pretty much, the education was not good. They didn't want education. So the education was not available on purpose. It's not. That's not the case. Education is good. Just there are rules to follow. You do this, 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 this. You don't do this, 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 this. And you pray for Allah, and life is good. Education, yeah, be smart and help other people do it. Just don't do that kind of stuff. Islam's education was totally fine. Science is totally fine. Christians, science, astronomy, everything is not fine. Don't study, don't do it. But they met. Christians visited the Islamic world, the Jerusalem, and I won't go into details. You already should know what happened. So there are a lot of bad things that happened, but if you pick up some of the good things that happened, in case of this study, is where they discovered, they already knew it, but they discovered what they were doing, which was scientifically advanced, mathematically, like educationally, they were highly advanced. So they found it. And then the Renaissance time come in, started mostly in Italy, because they were trading with these guys. So Renaissance, like people talk about the artworks and the Roman stuff. Yes, those are of course a really big part of the Renaissance, the arts component, but also educational stuff came back. Whatever the Romans and Greek people were studying, math, philosophy, science, alchemy, came back, and then they kept that. So they studied from the Muslims, and then they rediscovered it, and then that's the father of today's science, right? So they found this one too. They found out this one too. How to make a more strong booze. They found this out. And this became the major hit. Oh, this is the water of life. Why? They already had these. They already had wine and beer. They didn't really have sake, but they have what's the other one? It's ciders, and they have mead, and they got alcoholic beverage. Why you need this? They needed it. And before I start talking about the Aqua Vite, why didn't they do it? It's easy, but because Muslims, they don't drink alcohol. You're not supposed to drink alcohol if you're Muslim. So they knew how to do this, but they didn't use it to get drunk. They only use it for stuff, because it doesn't have to be. Let's say alcohol. It can be water. You can distill water and purify it, or it can do other stuff. So it's not really limited to alcohol, but it's a bar, so I'm talking about alcohol. The Muslims, they knew it, but they don't drink, so they didn't use it for drinking. Christian Europeans, they didn't know it, but they do drink. So they got they know how to learn how to make it. So now it became super popular. And that's why they call it the Aqua Vite. Aqua, of course, means water. Vite means life. Vite, vital, vitality, vitamins. Vite means life. So, water of life. Water of life is a pretty strong term, right? It's like, wow. Like, Is it that serious? I'm gonna explain. So I picked up 3 benefits of Aqua Vite. I'm gonna go from first one. It kills germs. Earlier I explained in the fermented alcohol where the yeast makes the alcohol, but as the alcohol level goes up, it'll eventually die with the alcohol that they created. So germs are microorganisms also as yeast. It just depends on from humans' perspective. I like you guys, or you guys are nice. I don't like you guys are germs. So they're it's similar. They're basically the same thing. It's just we like them or not. So it kills germs. It kills bacteria. It kills things. It sanitizes them. Like all the sanitizer, hand sanitizer that we use, spray sanitizer. A lot of them are alcohol driven. A lot of them are this that pretty much kills all bacteria. So it kills germs. Okay, so they use it for washing hands. They use it for cleaning. No, they use it mainly to add it in water so that they can drink it. Because these times, town in Europe was not sanitary. Basically, if you wake up in the morning and you take a dump, and all of your family member took a dump, you collect that in a bucket, and then you open your window. Space outside the window is the front street that people walk by. You throw it to the front street. Your dump, you dump it right outside in front of your door. And every single household did that. Every single day. More than once a day. So basically the streets of Europe was covered with poop and pee. Every single one. And if it's just there and you kind of avoid it and then you pass it by, but that's why you wear high heels or you wear a big hat, so you can avoid poop flying into you. It really happened. Look it up. Like, it really happened. But worst thing, if it rains, water kind of washes it away. Oh, water washed away. That's clean. No, where's it gonna go? It goes to the lower grounds. It goes into the river. It goes into the streams. It goes into the water source people drink out of them. So it's very unsanitary. And so water was extremely dangerous back then. You can't just scoop of water and drink it. You'll get sick. So if you get a water, if you add a little bit of Aqua Vite, it's gonna help. It won't cure it 100%, but it's gonna help sanitize the water. So you drink it, you can be hydrated. So you didn't do it just because you wanted to get drunk. Of course you can get drunk if you wanted to, but it's mainly to sanitize your water. And this is gonna happen a lot more when you're on the ship where there's no water whatsoever. There's like just rainwater and whatever on tank, which is gonna be a different story. But this adding spirits into the water to sanitize, to drinkable, was a really big thing. And stronger the better. Next is storability. A good example, this beer I have, it's a very nice IPA from Local. let's see, I have this. So I just chugged it. I'll leave it here, and then say I forgot about it. I went home and come back tomorrow, and oh, oops! I left the beer outside. I didn't finish it. Should I drink it? Do you think it's gonna taste good if I leave this here out? Come back tomorrow. Do you think it's gonna be good? You open a bottle of wine, open it, or you have a glass, and then okay, you want to drink the whole thing. You put a cork back in, but you forgot about it. 2 months later, you open a cabinet. Oh, this is the wine I opened like 2 months ago, but I didn't drink the whole thing. So it's like open it, cork back in. What do you think? You think it still tastes good? Usually, fermented alcohol, they don't last too long because multiple reasons, but like mainly because it's lower alcohol, so it doesn't last as long. It gets spoiled sooner, or if it's beer, it gets flat, or it gets wine, it gets too oxidized. It starts to turn into vinegar, which is vinegar. That's another yeast. That's another microorganism that likes. Yeast is an organism that likes alcohol. It goes into alcohol and turns it into vinegar. So different things gonna happen. It's gonna affect. But this whiskey. This is 45% alcohol. It's whiskey. If you visit your grandparents and your grandparents have a bottle of whiskey that they acquired 30 years ago, 40 years ago, long time ago, my friend gave this to me, but I don't really drink, so I just kept it in the shelf. It's been 30 years. We can drink it. No problem, we can drink it. Flavor, is it gonna change? It should change. Good or bad, I can't say. But you can drink this many years from now. As far as drinkability, you can drink. These, it won't last. So you can store it in different wood, casks, clay pots, whatever. It won't really go bad. So you can store it for a long time. And then once you make it, it's gonna last. So storability is key, because you don't have to consume it as fast. You can kind of keep it a long time. And then lastly, infusion. Other wines and beers, sake, you can infuse things too. You can add flavor and also. But alcohol, the Aqua Vite, you can also infuse, infusing tea or other stuff. So the popular ones are the herb liqueurs, like the Benedictine right here, or there are a lot of Amaros from Italy. Those are infused liquor. So you start with the higher alcohol, or it could be cleaner distilled spirit, and then you go pick herbs or tree barks or spices or flower petals or citrus, fruits, pits, seeds, whatever, that through the ages it's known to have a medicinal quality. This one is good for your throat. This one is good for if you have a fever. This is good for this kind of disease. Good for whatever. You can infuse it and then get the same results or same medicinal quality from it. Would it 100% work? It doesn't work 100%, of course. Like say you put like 40 different things that works in every single like head to toe. It's put all in here, soak it in. You drink this, it's gonna work like all the issue head to toe. It doesn't work like that. But it is known that it does have healthy components to it. When I explain about Amaro, I'll explain more about that. But that's why there's so many herb liqueurs. Popular one is Benedictine. It dates back to 1510. So it's right after Renaissance. Actually, it's like really like more than 500 years ago. All these monastery in France, the Benedictine monks, they got booze and they gathered all these herbs and spices and they made their own blend of what they thought was an elixir, and then they soaked it and add a little sugar so that's easier to drink. And I think same idea with it's like hidden here, but it's chartreuse. Same idea, and yeah. Everything pastis. I have Grand Classico bitters, all kinds of Amaro hidden. But it's basically the same idea of adding herbs to get medicinal quality. Infusion. So you can do all these kind of things, and you can do all these kind of things better than the fermented alcohol. So that's why it's the water of life. Kills the germs, cleanse it, store it a long time, it won't go bad, and then you can add things to it. So it's a very cool idea. So now I'm gonna quickly run over. Of course, you can make it from anything as long as it's sugary water. You can make it from anything, and depending on what you make, of course, the flavor's gonna change. Region you make it. Everything really depends on where it's made, how it's made. So there are tons of versions of Aqua Vite. I'm gonna explain several quickly. First is the Arak. Arak is the original Aqua Vite that was created in the Arab world, today's Middle East or Turkey area. And it was made by the Muslims through science or alchemy, and it's mainly made from dates. Dates are, it looks like a palm tree, but the fruit is like this big, and usually you dry it out to make it sweet, like a prune. Dates or grapes grew in Middle East, of course, like go back to centuries ago, and other stuff. So arak means to add a little bit. So, and for Muslims, they're not supposed to drink alcohol, so they want to drink sanitized water, so they add. So they're not trying to get drunk. So don't tell them that they're breaking the rules. It's for safety, okay? Adding a little bit. The word adding like a tiny bit meant arak, so that's the name. That's the original name. They're the one that came up with this, so they're not related to the water of life. And the terms through trade eventually it went to East Asia, specifically places like Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines. It became really popular. That's gonna be explained on a different movie, but it eventually goes to East Asia, Thailand also, and then the ingredients will change to like more rice or coconut or stuff like that. The ingredients will change depending on what they have. Aqua Vite is closest to Aqua Vite, right? That's why I brought it to the top. it's not like the major today in the United States. It's not a major category of spirit, but it dates back really old. It's mainly made in Scandinavia, the northern Europe, and grains are potato. And typically you add like a caraway or fennel or some sort of seeds for flavor. That's typically done for Aqua Vite. So north, eau de vie is from France. It also means water of life. Eau de vie, vie like vie, water. Water. Eau de vie is French way of distilled spirit, mainly made from fruits. Popular ones is of course grapes. Grapes, they make grape eau de vie as brandy. And most famous grape eau de vie from France is Cognac. Cognac is a grape eau de vie made in Cognac region of France. Another famous French eau de vie is Carvados. Carvados is eau de vie made from apples in the Normandy region, northern France, Normandy. So eau de vie, a lot of fruits. You can make other eau de vies. Like I have a tomato eau de vie. It can go crazy. Germans did similar. German, they call it schnapps, but it's kind of not related to aquavit. And like today's schnapps, we kind of imagine of like something sweet, so I didn't really include it in here. Like this is a German eau de vie made from raspberries. It's called Himbeergeist. Himbeergeist by Schlagler. So eau de vies like brandies are popular in that kind of region. Next is the Ushkbeha. What the hell is this? Ushkbeha? Ushkbeta. This is pretty much one of the most popular aquavite today. It's whiskey. Ushkbeha. This is Gaelic language. Gaelic language is a language used by Celtic people. Celtic people were around northern France all the way to the Britain island of Britain. But they got invaded by first Romans, of course, and second Germans, and then third is Normans, right? And then Anglo-Saxons. Anglo-Saxon, I think, came from the Denmark area originally. I think somewhere there's Anglos and Saxons, like they kind of came together. Anyways, Celtic people, they had to move away, and they ended up in Ireland and Scotland. So they kept their language. Sorry, there's a lot of history. I like history. So today's Ireland and Scotland, they were originally Celtic people, spoke Gaelic language. So in Gaelic language, Ushkbeha means water of life. Ushkbeha, Wishkbeha, 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 Wishky, Wishke. Today's whiskey is Ushkbeha. Next, vodka or vodka. Vodka means water, aqua. I don't know. It means water in Russia or Slovenian. Slav? No, not Slovenian. Slav people were the non-white people who lived in this area. Slav. Slovakia, Czechoslovakia, Slav, those are Slav people too, right? So that region, the language, it means water. So water of life, vodka, made from grains and potato. Oh, whiskey, I forgot about it, but you know, you guys should know it's made from grains and depends on where you live. Barley, rye, wheat, corn, right? Those kind of stuff. And then towards the bottom, I added 2 more because the ingredients and location are new. Mezcal or tequila. Tequila is a mezcal, but from a specific region. It's made in Mexico from agave plant. So it looks like a cactus. If you live in Texas, it's everywhere. And then rum. I said New World, so it's basically the Caribbean, the Americas, North America, Central, South Americas, and then some parts of Asia. Wherever sugarcane is available, they make rum. So these two they don't have anything about water or life. It's because for mezcal, they kind of came up with their own stuff. So they have their own word. Rum was invented a lot later than this time. It's more after the sailing or the trade things happened. So it was a term invented afterwards. That's why this was already old fashioned. So that's why it's called rum. So that's it for today. And yeah, thank you. On the next video, I'm gonna go a little bit further and then explain a little more other stuff. So thank you.